Welcome back, everyone, to CO Sports Talk. I'm Oliver alongside Casey here. And we just wanted to begin this episode by thanking everyone for the support. On the first episode, we reached 20 subscribers as a channel, as well as 100 views on the first episode. So that was great. Without any further ado, let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's get into this episode today. We got a lot to talk about. We got the Super Bowl. We got Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. We filmed that right before it happened last week, so we didn't get to cover it. So we'll talk about it today. Talk a little bit of college basketball, and we got a surprise. We're gonna do a little bit of rankings later, and we'll get into some MLB and NBA. So let's get into it. Starting with the Super Bowl. It is Sunday, so it is tomorrow for you guys. How are you feeling so far, Oliver? You excited to have some good chips and dip and watch this game?
Yeah, I'm beyond excited. We got get a little feast going and enjoy the game. I think it's gonna be a great one.
Absolutely. And we're gonna start by talking about some prop bets. Prop bets for all you guys that don't know are bets in Super Bowl that are kind of rare bets, interesting bets, and things to bet on with your friends, with your family, whoever, to make some money maybe. So we're gonna start Travis Kelce getting the first touchdown, or just bet Travis Kelce getting a touchdown. Great bet. When you say that, Oliver?
Yeah, 100%. Travis Kelce's more likely than not to score in this game. He's Mahomes' favorite target, maybe outside Tyreek Hill, but I would argue that he is Mahomes' favorite target. So yeah, he's a big red zone threat as well. So this is definitely a good bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelce has been amazing this year. Led the NFL in receiving yards as a tight end. I mean, I will be shocked if he does not score a touchdown. Make this bet. If the person's going to bet this with you, if they dare to bet that he won't score, I would definitely recommend making this bet. And let's talk about another one here. Tom Brady, over or under 0.5 interceptions. I mean, that's just one interception he has to throw. And I personally would bet the over on this because I think Tom Brady will throw an interception. Doesn't mean they're going to lose, but I think one interception from Brady. I mean, he threw 3 last game. That's going to happen, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You look at last game, those three interceptions. So I would also bet the over here, but you never know. Tom Brady can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and we talked last week kind of about how the first half, it could be a slow start. At least I think it'll be a slow start. Maybe the Chiefs are going to do well in the first half, but I think in the second half, the Buccaneers are going to come back and Tom Brady's going to have a big second half. So if you're going to bet that, I would recommend going with the first half. It will be an interception. And in the second half, there's a over under second half. I think in the second half, we're going to have a huge second half, as I just said, from Tampa, and a lot of points will be scored in the second half. So make sure to bet slow first half, big second half, and a crazy bet here, a rare one, 1 to 100. So if you put $1 in, you can win 100. Vita Vea touchdown. The Buccaneers have been practicing this all week. NFL on their social media has been posting a little bit about it. What are the odds Vita Vea actually gets in the end zone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I would say not likely, but definitely possible. We saw on the NFL's Instagram page, he was a running back at Milpitas High School.
Just down the road, yeah.
Yeah, so he's faster than he looks, and he might be used in goal line situations, so might as well.
Yeah, and another buck that could be used in the goal line situation is Leonard Fournette. That's a much more reasonable bet I would go for.
Right.
Leonard Fournette has been awesome this playoffs. I mean, he's been great. Ronald Jones, their running back in the regular season, his production has kind of gone down a little bit this playoffs as Leonard Fournette kind of going into playoff Lenny form, and he's been great for the Bucs.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of switched roles. Ronald Jones was definitely the primary ball carrier during the regular season. Now it seems to be Leonard Fournette here in the postseason.
Yeah, so expect a big game from those people. And our last prop bet for you viewers, Co-Sports Box, CO Sports Talk viewers, is the national anthem. Right now, it sits at 1 minute and 59 seconds. Do you think it will be under or over 1 minute 59? I'll go first, and I think Eric Church, who's singing the national anthem, it's a duet. You got to bet the under here. I truly think that Eric Church is an extremely fast singer, country singer. So he's going to get it done with before 159. It's a duet that could rush it a little bit. If you want to make some quick money for friends, bet the under 159. They're going to get it done fast.
I can see that as well, but you think about it as a country artist, they kind of like to extend their words at the end. They make sing it slowly, especially in a duet. So I would also bet the under, but you never know.
Yes. And now talking a little about the game here. Tom Brady, 6 for 7 against teams that their team names are animals. and he's 0 for 2 against team names that aren't animals. The Chiefs are not animals. So with that, do you still think the Bucs are going to win this?
Yeah, I do. I don't I don't really believe in those superstitions. His two losses were both against the New York Giants, so it's not like it's multiple teams that are getting him.
Right.
So yeah, I think the Bucks can win this.
Yeah, so Sunday there it is. Tom Brady playing in his 10th Super Bowl. More Super Bowls Tom Brady has played in than his defensive lineman Jason Pierre-Paul has fingers. So I mean, this is going to be a crazy game. Chiefs +3 right now, or sorry, Chiefs -3, Bucks +3. I don't know. It's going to be a great game, but everyone make sure to watch CBS on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous stat. All right, moving on to other NFL news. Last weekend on Saturday, we got a big blockbuster trade, which Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions have been traded to the Los Angeles Rams for quarterback Jared Goff, a 2021 third-round pick, and two first-round picks in both 2022 and 2023. So let's start it off with, who do you think won this trade, Detroit or LA?
I definitely think the Detroit Lions won this trade, and except for one circumstance. But I'll start with the Lions. I mean, they got Jared Goff, who is 7 years younger than Matthew Stafford.
Exactly.
That's a great trade for them, I think. I mean, yes, Jared Goff, he has not had the best couple seasons, two in a row, but I mean, he did make the Super Bowl. He runs a system well. He ran Sean McVay's system nice and well. I mean, he was an MVP candidate 2 years ago. So I think if Dan Campbell can draw something up, not the best that he's a defensive coordinator, he's not really an offensive mind, but if Dan Campbell can draw something nice up for Jared and the Lions, they can be good. I mean, they got some receivers, assuming to stay. Kenny Galladay, free agent, but if he stays, Marvin Jones, also a free agent. And then they got a young running back in DeAndre Swift. I mean, this Lions team, I definitely think it won this trade. And the amount of picks they have, that's the important part. It's amazing. And for the Rams, they won this trade under one circumstance. This trade is an A if they win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years in Matthew Stafford's contract. If they win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, that's an A. But if they don't, it's an F because they're putting all the eggs in the basket for these 2 years. And if not, it's not going to look good.
Yeah, 100% agree about Detroit. It's kind of a constant rebuild over there, so might as well get younger in any position you can. Jared Goff is definitely a downgrade to Matthew Stafford at the moment, but you think about it, they were the number one draft pick 7 years apart in their respective drafts, 2009 and 2016. So yeah, and for the Rams, they see their window is now, and they want to take it. I think they definitely have a championship roster right now, and I think they compete for a title with Matthew Stafford at the helm. And
Yeah,
so,
I definitely do understand like the Rams thinking point. Everyone's saying they're idiots, but I mean, if you think about it, Sean McVay, he doesn't know he'll be there in this future. I mean, he could be gone soon, so he wants to win now. He doesn't care, so he's fine with the consequences of putting everything into these next 2 years to not be good in the future. Because if you're going to win a Super Bowl, it's worth it.
yeah, 100%.
And
And
it's rare; we don't really see that much in the NFL.
yeah, and about the Rams' future, how does this affect it? You think? Like, do you think after these 2 years of Matthew Stafford's contract, where do you think the team will be?
I truly think that this Rams team, they're after Matthew Stafford's 2 years. I don't think they're going to want to move on Matthew Stafford, because his 2 years of contracts are here. But after that, he'll probably be out of his prime by then. I mean, he'll be 35 years old. And for Stafford, he has had some injury problems. We do forget almost every year there's Matthew Stafford is sitting out at least 3 games. I mean, he's had some neck issues, arm issues. So Matthew Stafford is not always a 16-game QB. So I don't know if Matthew Stafford is going to be a re-sign QB. So for the Rams, they're going to be looking to rebuild, I think, after these 2 years. So that's why it's either an A or F, depending on if they win in the next two.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Matthew Stafford does leave in 2 years, they could either go the draft route or they could pretty much do the same thing and get another vet who's still playing like a prime quarterback like Matthew Stafford. And they could continue to do that, or they could just get their franchise quarterback in the draft. So yeah.
Yeah, and for the Rams, we do have to mention that they got rid of Goff's contract, which is huge, and that's great for saving cap space. So that was a big win for them. So, and not that's a loss for the Lions that they have to have that cap space.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus for the Rams getting rid of all that money. And so yeah, I think it was an equal trade for both sides, I would say, but I agree with you that the Lions were definitely on the winning side of this one.
Yeah, it was interesting Saturday night learning about that trade
Yeah.
just after we recorded, but we talked about it now. So yeah. All right, moving on to college basketball. We did not talk about this last episode, but today we will talk about it. Right now, number 1 and 2 in the country, Gonzaga and Baylor. Gonzaga undefeated, Baylor also undefeated. Gonzaga is number 1. My question for you, Oliver, is who will remain undefeated longer, Baylor or Gonzaga?
Yeah, for this question, I think I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I mean, you look at they got their star player in Jalen Suggs, arguably a top 5 draft pick in this upcoming draft. He's leading this team very well, obviously, undefeated team. And then also another factor you have to look at is their conference. It's way weaker than the one Baylor plays in. So that's definitely another factor for this team to stay undefeated. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Baylor is the conference is mildly harder. The Big 12 is one of the hardest conferences in college basketball, along with the
Yeah.
ACC and Big 10. And Gonzaga is playing Pacific and Pepperdine and Santa Clara and St. Mary's every single week. I mean, it's just no difference. As much as I love the Santa Clara Broncos, I mean, there's a huge difference there. So Baylor, big test this weekend against Texas Tech, Mac McClung's team. But if they can win that, I think they will. They can be more successful in March, even though they will lose probably first. Because knowing what's happened to Gonzaga, they do lose a lot in March. I mean, they haven't won national championship. They made the finals a couple of years ago, played North Carolina, but they did not win it.
Yeah, I mean, one team going undefeated longer than the other does not mean they're necessarily the better team. And if that is Gonzaga doing that, you have to look at things like strength of schedule when you consider how good a team is. So.
Yeah, and then secondly, we'll move on to Stanford, a team along here. They were playing in Santa Cruz for a long time at the Warrior Stadium, but they have finally got the clear to move back to their home stadium. And for this Stanford team, Oliver, they're right now in the bubble. According to Joe Lunardi, ESPN bracketologist, they are the last 4 team in. And it seems like this team, we were talking about this, it seems like Stanford is always right on the bubble. I mean, they haven't made the tournament since 2013. So do you think they can find their way back in? And how's this team looking?
Yeah, you're right. They seem to always be on the bubble every single year. I hope as a Stanford fan, I hope they get in this year. I think they definitely can. So I'm looking forward to that. They have a nice little team: Oscar Da Silva, Dejon Davis, along with the young cats like Zaire Williams. So yeah, they have a good mixture of older seniors and freshmen and underclassmen.
Yeah.
So I like.
Oscar Silva is one of those players that feels like it's been in college forever, and he's
Yeah.
somehow still there. And they got Dejon Davis, who's also a senior. So those guys mixed with young guys is such a key combination. I mean, you need experience to be successful in March Madness. We saw that with Duke when you have 3 insane freshmen, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, and Zion Williamson. They couldn't make it past Michigan State in the Elite Eight. So
Yeah.
you need senior leadership to be successful.
Yeah, and that leadership will be key if they make the tournament. Just having those older guys mentor the younger guys and navigate their way through March Madness.
Exactly. And another thing we love about March Madness, Oliver, is the Cinderella stories. So this year, some Cinderella stories that we're looking at right now are St. Bonaventure, Creighton, but which ones did you find individually, Oliver, that you think could be Cinderella stories this year?
Yeah, I'm picking Loyola Chicago, just like they did 2 years ago in 2018 with all their buzzer beaters and game winners. That was a miraculous run. The record right now is 15-3, so they're a good team as well. 10-1 in conference. And yeah, their big man, Cameron Krutwig, is averaging 15 a game, carrying this team right now. He's a big force down at the post. So I can definitely see this Loyola Chicago team going far. And yeah, there's always a little magic in the air when it comes to Loyola Chicago. So
Yeah, absolutely. We saw them do it 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That team was amazing, beating like Tennessee and all those big schools, Miami, and then they ended up almost beating Michigan. So they could easily do it again. And the crazy thing about them is they're in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is obviously a conference where you're only going to get one team. But this year, they're going to be joined with another team in March Madness, and it's a team that's in first place in their own conference. It's the 17-0 Drake University. Drake University is number 25 in the country. And week 1, they started with beating Kansas State in Kansas. And since then, they have not lost a game. They're 17-0. And they're a team that's just all around. They don't have a star. And like they just all around a good team. I mean, but the big thing about this Drake team is they play Loyola Chicago next Saturday. So that will be a huge game.
where you going?
Yeah. So whoever wins that I mean, they could be maybe an 8 seed or less or lower. So that is huge for college basketball.
Yeah, I think
Um,
this Drake
yeah, go
team
for it.
has a more impressive San Diego State from last year. We saw San Diego State go off to that, 24 something to know.
Right.
Yeah, but that's obviously more expected from a program like San Diego State than Drake University. So props to Drake. They're doing their thing.
Yeah, San Diego State was almost a 1 seed and then ended up losing, but
Yeah.
absolutely. And for some other teams that to look out for your brackets in March is Houston, good team this year right now, only have one loss, number 5 in the country. They could easily make Elite 8 semifinals, maybe even finals. Michigan Wolverines is always their good, only one loss, number 3 in the country right now. And Oklahoma Sooners and UCLA, Elite 8 teams for sure, Oklahoma and UCLA. So that is it for college basketball. And now we will move on to our rankings. And today it will be the top 10 QBs in the NFL. All right. So here it is, our top 10 QBs in the NFL. Me and Oliver and I, we both did our own rankings here, and you will see it. So here we go. Starting with our honorable mentions.
We got Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons, Baker Mayfield of the Cleveland Browns, Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans, Jared Goff of the new addition to the Detroit Lions team, and Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, one that stands out to me here would definitely be Ryan Tannehill. I almost put him in my top 10. He had a great year, threw for a lot of yards, top 5 in the NFL, and I truly think he was probably my number 11. Had a great year for himself. So, what about you? Who stood out here the most, Oliver?
Yeah, I mean, right here, I think Matt Ryan kind of stands out to me. I think he kind of had a down year, but last 5 years, I think he was definitely a top 5 quarterback in the league. Even won the MVP in 2015. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's start. Oliver.
So number 10 on my list, we have a two-way tie because I just couldn't decide. And that's between Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert. Herbert had an outstanding rookie of the year, took home Pepsi rookie of the year. Obviously not the real thing, but it's still something. And Kyler Murray, who was an early MVP candidate this year, through like the first 5 weeks, he was playing outstanding, kind of slowed down, but I still think he deserves to be in the spot for sure.
At my number 10, I have a tie as well. This time it will be between Tom Brady, the old GOAT, and Justin Herbert, up and coming GOAT. And this was definitely a tie here because Tom Brady, although he's still not the same as he was back in the day, the best quarterback talent wise, he's obviously a winner. He'll be the GOAT. He'll go down as the greatest player of all time. And he's still somewhat productive. He's in the top 10. And then Justin Herbert had himself an amazing year, and he'll just be working his way up on the list. So, although the man on the right of your screen, Justin Herbert, is going to be working his way up in his career and is only as a bright future. And Tom Brady, his future is probably going to go down after this, but who knows with Brady? He could play till he's 60 years old. These guys, I had him at a nice tie at number 10, just like you did.
Yeah, with Brady, I think he wants to play till 45. So, but I think if they win the Super Bowl here, I think he's got to hang it up. You got
Yeah, that'd be a great way to go in.
I mean, not everyone's gonna be Peyton Manning and end on a Super Bowl win, but I definitely would if I was Brady. You've definitely proved enough if you win 7. All right, number 9 on my list, Dak Prescott had a terrible injury early in the season, really caused the downfall of this Dallas Cowboys team, who people thought would win the division and maybe make some noise in the playoffs, but with Andy Dalton along with Ben DiNucci, they didn't really do anything. But yeah, Dak Prescott is an incredible talent. 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State in 2016, kind of took Tony Romo's job from him, kind of retired Tony Romo, to be honest. So yeah, Dak Prescott comes at number 9 on my list.
Absolutely. For me, I got the newly formed Los Angeles Ram, Matthew Stafford. We kind of just talked about him here, but Matthew Stafford, what a great season he's put together, and he's just been one of the most underrated players in the NFL for so long.
100%.
Partly because he's never won a playoff game, and we will see in LA. Hopefully, he can get a playoff game. Although I'm not a big Rams fan, it would be awesome to see Stafford get a playoff win. And stats wise, I mean, he's on pace to put up Hall of Fame stats. I will say it. And he's just a great productive player. Every season, he seems to throw for tons of yards. And Matthew Stafford is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL as it stands right now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And there we
And
go.
number 8, Matthew Stafford. I just want to touch on the Hall of Fame thing maybe a little bit. I think to be a Hall of Famer, you definitely have to have some playoff experience and something under your belt. So if he succeeds in LA, wins a playoff game or two, maybe even a championship, I think he cements himself as a Hall of Famer, especially with all those stats he has. So yeah, number 8 on my list, only one ahead of what you have him as, is Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams.
And at my number 8, I have who you had at 10, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, we talked about it. You talked about it. What a great start to the season he had. He was MVP candidate. I thought he was going to win MVP because that was 2 years in a row before him. We had second-year mobile quarterbacks win the MVP. So I thought Kyler was going to do it for himself, but didn't finish the season quite like he wanted to. The Cardinals did not make the playoffs. They lost that game to John Wolford and the Los Angeles Rams. But Murray had a great season. I mean, what he can do as being so mobile, we've never seen a quarterback like him. And very motivational to all the short kings out there.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And he's also one of those guys where his stock will keep rising. And he'll make his list. He'll make his way down the list every year, hopefully.
I agree, yeah. Number 7, a big faller for me. At the beginning of the year, I believe I had Lamar ranked at number 2, right behind Patrick Mahomes. Now I find himself at 7. I mean, he wasn't awful this year, but I found himself with his arm, he wasn't very effective. He made some bad decisions, but nonetheless, still a great player. I mean, he's the MVP of the league for a reason. Obviously, what he can do with his arm and his feet is nothing short of incredible. So Lamar at 7, it may be a fall from where I thought he was initially, but it's still very high.
Absolutely. And we could see him back down next year. Who knows?
Yeah. He just needs.
Sorry.
No, it's good. He just needs some weapons around him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Marquise Brown is not the number 1 receiver. And for my 7, we have another faller, a big-time faller, Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. We did this week 1, Oliver, and I had Russell Wilson at number 3. But the thing about Wilson is, I mean, he's really struggled at the end of the season's last couple of years. Since that 2014 Super Bowl versus the New England Patriots, Russell Wilson has not been in the same form. He has not made the Super Bowl since, and in the playoffs this year was not nice. I mean, he did not play well at all. Played the Los Angeles Rams, did not look good, threw a lot of interceptions, had that one great pass to DK Metcalf. But otherwise, Wilson did not play well. So he fell a little bit. However, Wilson is still very consistent, one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL. And he will be a Hall of Famer one day, no question. Even if he doesn't win another Super Bowl, made 2, had a great time. And Wilson is still a top 10 quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he made 2, should have won 2 if it wasn't for a bad decision by Pete Carroll. So yeah.
Exactly.
Number 6, Mr. Tom versus Time, Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just incredible what he's doing in his 10th Super Bowl at 43 years old. It amazes me. I mean, most people at 43, if you're an athlete, you're sitting in your house watching the games on TV. Yeah, he's still out there competing with players who are much younger, much more fit than him, and still doing great things, leading this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who went 7-9 with Jameis Winston to 11-5 and Super Bowl team. So Tom Brady, my GOAT at number 6.
He's just a winner, man. Simply just a winner. My 6, you just talked about him, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't have him falling quite the same as you because he impressed me a little bit this playoffs. He had 1 playoff win this year, got his first playoff win, beat the Tennessee Titans. But his weapons, you talked about it, he just doesn't have the weapons that Mahomes does, obviously. And maybe if he did have those weapons, he would be in the top 3. But Lamar this year struggled at times, but at times showed his brilliancy of Lamar Jackson. Never really seen a player that mobile and that athletic to be able to toss the pigskin that far. So Lamar Jackson, definitely a top 10 quarterback, but got to get him some weapons.
Yeah, I agree. Mark Andrews is a great weapon, but you need some receivers out there in Baltimore. They have some promising young guys, Devin Duvernay, Miles Boykin, Marquise Brown, if he can figure things out. But Willie Snead's not going to cut it as a number 2 receiver.
Yeah. All right. We get to our top 5 here. Getting exciting. Wow. Bills fans do not like this.
Josh Allen of Buffalo Bills. I just can't put him any higher than this, to be honest. He had an outstanding year, MVP caliber year. He's probably going to finish top 5 in MVP voting this year. Yeah, just the improvement each year from Josh Allen is incredible. At the beginning of the year, I think I had him maybe at like 20, 18, and he's risen all the way to 5. So yeah, Josh Allen's a great player, outstanding arm strength. Only person he rivals is Mahomes in the league for best arm. And yeah, young player, and I think he can lead this Bills team to playoff appearances for years to come.
And for my number 5, I have Dallas Cowboys player Dak Prescott. I was a
Wow.
little more high on Prescott than you were. I had him at 5, but it does have to do a little bit with the injury. I mean, he got injured, I believe, like week 6, week 5, and he was amazing, leading the league in passing easily. And after he got injured, they played a Sunday game, and he still led the league in passing, even though everyone played an extra game. Dak was lighting it up. Fortunately, the Cowboys didn't have the best defense when he was playing, so they didn't win that much. But Dak Prescott, great player, free agent right now. We do think he will sign back with the Cowboys though, just because who would not want to pay him after those performances in the first couple games this year?
Yeah.
And yes, Dak Prescott, number 5 quarterback in the NFL for me. And if he could put up an MVP season next year and make his way to the top 2, top 3, maybe even 1, who knows, for a bad couple of years for the man in Kansas City. All right, Oliver, who do you have it for?
Number 4, Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans, maybe. But there's a lot of uncertainty about him. Literally every team wants him, it feels like at this point. I've seen him photoshopped into almost every jersey in the NFL. So, yeah, free Deshaun. He's had an MVP caliber season this year, but no one's talking about it because of the situation in Houston. Yeah, incredible player. I didn't project his success like this out of Clemson, but yeah, he's impressed me every single year. He routed the Patriots this year, and yeah, you have him in the same spot.
Absolutely, free Deshaun, as I say. I mean, the fact that they only won the amount of games they did is pretty sad for the amount of stats he put up this year. Deshaun Watson, great season as always. He is extremely consistent. He tore his ACL his second year, rookie year, I think. And
Yeah.
people thought maybe he wouldn't be the same, but he has came back. However, the winning, some people will question, a true quarterback will always find a way to win. But I mean, something about the Texans organization. We saw it with Matt Stafford in Detroit. We will see where Deshaun goes, but it's definitely Deshaun Watson Photoshop season. I think we've probably seen 31 other Photoshops, even maybe Chiefs fans Photoshopping Deshaun in their colors. So who does not want Watson as their quarterback, and where will he go is a question we will find out this offseason.
Yeah, I would say there's only a handful of teams that wouldn't want Deshaun because of their current quarterback situation. If I was a team besides the Chiefs, Packers, maybe Seahawks, maybe Bills, I would definitely want Deshaun on my team. Yeah, Bill O'Brien came in here as a head coach and GM and single-handedly destroyed this organization, then left. So,
Absolutely. So Deshaun repping his number at number 4 for both of us.
oh yeah.
We will get into our top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL.
So number 3, maybe a surprise. You had him at number 7. Russell Wilson definitely struggled at the end of the season, like you mentioned, but you can't deny how good Russell Wilson is. There was a stat, I think, at the beginning of the year that he had never received an MVP vote, and I don't think that's going to change this season. But he was my MVP favorite coming into this year. Didn't At the beginning of the year, I think that kind of held up, and then as the season went on, it didn't. He threw way too many interceptions, and nothing happened in the postseason, which doesn't affect MVP voting, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying that was not good for Russell Wilson. But I still have him at 3 because I think he is the third best quarterback in the league right now, and I don't want to put anyone behind him above him. So
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to be a little bit of a cycle of Russell. I mean, he plays these amazing games, starts the season amazing. That's what happened this year. Then all of a sudden, they lose a weird game. I mean, this year they lost some weird games. Seahawks, they lost to the Cardinals over in Arizona, I remember. And then all the momentum about the Seahawks and Russell Wilson just went downhill. And then when the playoffs came around, he ended on a bad note. So he's probably not going to receive one again. But it's a weird note for Russell. Definitely a top 7 QB, probably top 5 QB in the NFL when he's playing well.
mhm.
But Russell Wilson, good player. So I'm not too mad at this. And yeah, and I am biased. Josh Allen, 3. Bills Mafia. I hope you guys
Wow.
could agree that he is 3. Probably not a bit better, but he will be even lower in the future. Josh Allen, what a season. I mean, 2018 started his rookie year, had some accuracy issues, had some fumble issues, comes back, fixes the accuracy issues, fixes the fumbling issues, but still has a little bit of them. And then this year improves them even more. I mean, that's what coaches love to see. That's what players love to see, improvement. And I don't even know if he can keep improving from this year, but he can. Keeps improving every single year in his career. Didn't make the playoffs his rookie year, lost in a wild card, made the AFC Championship. Improvement is key. Josh Allen had himself a year, started at number 17 in the NFL in week 1 for me, worked his way up to 3, worked his way up to 5 for Oliver. Josh Allen, have a year.
Yeah, I think
And
the improvement kind of stands out for him. Like I mentioned earlier, he just gets better every year. The team gets better every year with him. So yeah, I think 3 is definitely appropriate.
yep, the Bills found their guy, and they will obviously love him out of Wyoming. And for 2, Oliver has A-Rod. Wow.
Number 2, I got Mr. MVP. He's going to win it this year. I think everyone kind of knows that at this point. Aaron Rodgers. What can you not say about Aaron Rodgers? I mean, he's absolutely phenomenal on the field. Probably the TOTE, like you said last episode, the most talented player of all time. Yeah, there's just not much to say about him because he's so good. But team success in the playoffs, which doesn't affect MVP, like I just mentioned. But
Right.
yeah,
He
Aaron
should win. We will see when this comes out after watching this. Tune on because it should be on. And for me, whoa, I do not have Rodgers. Yes, I have Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, before everyone gets mad, I have Mahomes at 2 because it's not about who has the best future here. It's not about who's going to be the best player in the league for the next 10 years. Yes, that's obviously Patrick Mahomes. But it's about this year who is the best NFL quarterback and who's the best in the league right at this moment. And I truly think it's Aaron Rodgers, but that's a toss up. Mahomes, let's talk about him. What a year the man's had. I mean, he is so consistent, and he is turning himself into a little bit of a mini Brady. When he's on the field, you can't doubt him. You have all your hopes are just kind of diminished when he gets the ball. I mean, when he got the ball against against Las Vegas on Sunday Night Football with 1 minute left, you'd be thinking that you're screwed if you're a Chiefs fan. But he scored so easily. He has so many weapons, and he uses them so well. The Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes. The future is amazing, and it already is amazing for them. They will be competing in the Super Bowl tomorrow, and just an awesome Patrick Mahomes, number 2. And Oliver, I assume we're going to see Mahomes here unless we see a crazy Joe Burrow or something.
toss up between Nathan Peterman and Patrick Mahomes, but I went with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I think he's going to go down as most talented player of all time. Him in this Chiefs system, in this Andy Reid offense, Eric Bieniemy offense, it's just unstoppable. And then combine that with the weapons he has of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, and out of the backfield you have Damian Williams and Le'Veon Bell. Like it's ridiculous. This Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes is leading it, and the Chiefs could definitely be the next dynasty in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, he's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL for me. But I can definitely, if you flip flop him and Aaron Rodgers, I would not be mad at all.
Absolutely. And yes, I have the boy, Aaron Rodgers. The boy had himself a little bit of a year. I mean, he was amazing this year. He's going to win MVP at 37. The man seems to age like some fine wine at this point of his life. 37 years old, winning an MVP. And the biggest reason I have him at 1 over Mahomes is the amount of weapons. They both were amazing this year, but the amount of weapons Aaron Rodgers had is just fewer than Mahomes. You just mentioned that Mahomes obviously has one of the best receivers in the NFL, and he has the best tight end in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he has Robert Tonyan as his tight end. Good player, but he would be probably on a farm 2 years ago if it wasn't for the Packers. So, and then receiver wise, besides Devontae Adams, who does they have? I mean, they got Alan Lazard, wasn't even drafted, he's on the practice squad. So that's why I got Rodgers at 1. Just what he did with what he had, have to put him at 1. But it is absolutely a toss up. So that would be our top 10 rankings in NFL. And one interesting thing I noticed, Oliver, is we had the same 11 players in this list. It was just different orders.
Yeah, I feel like those were kind of the consensus top 11 guys, and we just mixed them around a little bit. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right. There we go over top 10.
Now on to some MLB news. We got word earlier today, first reported by John Heyman, that Trevor Bauer, the NL Cy Young winner this year, is going to the LA Dodgers, sadly, for the rest of the league on a 3-year, $102 million deal. So what does this mean for the Dodgers?
I mean, it means a lot for the Dodgers. They're kind of actually in the same boat as their other LA companion, the Rams, where they're obviously want to win another ring. And for a couple more years, 3 more years, 4 more years, 5 with Mookie, the Caps, they just have so much money. Obviously, they can seem to sign whoever. And I guess what attracted Bauer the most was he's from LA. He went to UCLA, so I guess he really liked that. But also, I mean, who doesn't want to live in LA? I mean, would you rather live in Cincinnati or Los Angeles? I mean, is it
Exactly.
sky blue? You're going to go to LA. So that's the problem. I do feel bad for these Giants fans, which is us, these Rockies fans, D-backs fans, having to play the Padres and Dodgers every single game in your division is going to be tough. But for the Dodgers, I mean, I think they'll win at least 2 of the next 5 World Series, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this Dodgers team's absolutely loaded. Um, Pitching wise, they have Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler. They still have Julio Urias, and you add Trevor Bauer, Tony Gonsolin. Probably not even going to find his way into the rotation because they need to balance the righties and lefties. So he's probably going to go back into the pen. This lineup's insane with Mookie Betts, like you said, Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner if he resigns, Corey Seager, Max Muncy. It's just ridiculous. Will Smith. This team is insane. I don't see any team that can really beat them, especially in a 7-game series. So yeah, as Giants fans, I just want out of this division immediately. But we're just gonna have to suffer through.
And if you combine these two Southern California teams, the Padres and the Dodgers, I mean, you can make that's literally the
Just
All-Star
the
team.
Dodgers with Mike Trout.
Yeah. Oh, and all the Southern California teams add Trout too. I mean, those 3 SoCal teams, they could beat an All-Star team probably of the rest of the MLB. They are so good.
Ridiculous.
SoCal versus the world at this point.
Yeah. All right, and with Trevor Bauer joining the defending champion Dodgers, it kind of brings up a conversation about ring chasing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of what Kevin Durant did in 2015, 2016 when he signed with the Warriors after going 73-9. They didn't win the finals, but still, they'd won it the year before that. So, do you consider Trevor Bauer a ring chaser, or do you think LA is just where he wanted to find himself?
I mean, I kind of have to consider him a little bit of one. You're not going to go to LA if you don't want to win a ring like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's a ring chaser. Like it's not like you don't want to win a ring, but it's a nice feeling if you're the main guy. I mean, Trevor Bauer may not even be the main ace on this team. Doesn't he want to be the main ace? It'd be nice if he really could work his way up and work a bad franchise into a championship. That's the best way to do it. I mean, that's what Mahomes, he got drafted into a franchise that hadn't won in so long, 100 years, and he made his way up football. That's the dream. But I mean, when you have been losing like Bauer has with Cleveland, Arizona, and Cincinnati, I guess you're really kind of desperate. And when he has the talent like he does, I think he's wants that ring really bad, so he went to LA. So yes, I would say he's a little bit of a ring chaser, but I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. He stated that he wanted to go a place where he could compete for a championship, and LA is definitely that. I would rather him go to the other LA team, but
Yeah,
I think that would have been kind of more exciting, more fun. He would have been
yeah. Him and Trout would have been fun because they haven't been good too. I mean, going
exactly.
to the team that just won isn't very fun, but whatever.
I feel like you wouldn't feel as good if you win a championship with the team that just won instead of bringing an organization out of the dirt and winning with them. I feel like would be a lot more uh, impressive and like it would feel good for yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's big news. We've been waiting for it all off season long, and it finally happened. It was kind of narrowed down to 2 teams, and yeah, Trevor Bauer, LA Dodger. Moving on to the world of basketball, the NBA. Um, so the All-Star game's coming up here, and LeBron James recently stated that he has, quote, zero energy, zero excitement for the upcoming All-Star game. So
Wow.
do you think that this All-Star game will even happen at this point without fans?
Yeah, well, speaking of ring chasers, talking about LeBron, I mean, he has so much power, so I really don't think it will happen because LeBron James is probably the most powerful athlete right now
Yeah.
in the United States, sure, maybe in the world. I mean, the NBA loves LeBron. He does so much for them. It's not really a hate love relationship like some of these leagues do with their stars. The NBA really does enjoy LeBron's company, and they will back him up on whatever he says. So LeBron has so much power, and if he doesn't, the NBA could look bad. So I really do not think the All Star game will happen. There's no fans. I mean, the big part of the All Star games are the fans. I mean, the 3-point contest, the dunk contest. It's all about the fan reactions. When there's no fans at the All Star game, kind of no point in doing it. But I still would like to see it as a fan. Like to see it on TV. Maybe just the All Star game, not like the skill competitions and all that. Do you think it will happen?
Yeah, so I don't think we'll have it after those comments because, like you mentioned, LeBron's power that he holds in this league, and
Yeah.
you're right. The All-Star Game festivities are made for the fans. It's a fun event to go to, watch on TV, hear the crowd roar when there's a crazy dunk at the dunk contest. It's not gonna be the same in an empty gym
Yeah.
with just a few athletes dunking, shooting the ball, and especially not skills competition, which isn't even that popular to watch anyway. So I would like to see a game, but if it doesn't happen, I won't be too mad. So yeah, I'm fine with just hearing the selections and moving on and having like a week break and just moving on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would be shocked if the NBA has it. I don't know what they'd be on about, but we will see. All right. So we talked about NBA, MLB, college basketball, NFL, and a little bit of free agency. So we covered a lot today on our
A
show.
little bit of
And
country music as well.
yeah. So talking about a little bit of our new schedule for us, we will be uploading new videos every Sunday. This week we will be uploading Saturday due to the Super Bowl. We're going a week ahead and we record every Saturday. So if we ever miss something that happened Saturday night, that is why. But we are excited for CO Sports Talk. Thank you to all 20 subs. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, turn the post noties on,
Of course.
send it to all your friends, share it with everyone. And we are excited to continue doing them. We'll do cool rankings like we did today every single week, and we'll talk about what's going on in the sports world.
Yep. I'm excited to keep going.
All
Peace.
right. See you, everyone.